Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the resurgence, especially on this most holy of days, Cinco de Mayo. It's our anniversary, everybody. Bravo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Jason. Oh, I'm Jason.
I'm Chris on audio.
We probably should have set up like the order that we were introducing ourselves before.
You know what's funny? You said resurgence. You didn't say the name of the show.
Well, I was going to get to it at the end. I'll be like, you know what? Sure, that was a great way to introduce ourselves, but it's in true Oddlude fashion.
But Jason, I thought we hadn't picked a name for the show yet. Isn't it show title pending?
Bravo, fantastic work, Kevin.
Why do you keep saying your own name?
There's so much disgust on my face when you just said that.
I'm sorry, I just did like a facial expression, and I realized, oh, this is just audio only.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, surprise! We're still on audio because we haven't gotten cameras yet, and due to the wonderful non-pre-recorded session this is, yes, of a certain epidemic going around in our country, we can't really meet. But in order to kind of give homage to our founding on Cinco de Mayo, we wanted to record the reemergence and retelling of Show Title Pending. Because like always, guys, we still don't know.
Yes.
But, what? So, I know one thing we were talking about, and in true Cinco de Mayo fashion, gentlemen, do you guys celebrate Cinco de Mayo?
My folks don't. I do, but I usually I would have gone out and just got a couple of drinks, had some good food. The coffee's killing me on the inside.
That was garbage.
You're garbage.
Yeah.
It must have smelled like garbage.
I can smell it. And we're recording this remotely. For me personally, I don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo because another holiday comes up 4 days after that. That's May 9th, my birthday, also known as Second Christmas, Christmas in the summer. It's the best day ever. Just, the day like the world began. There's a lot of different names for that holiday, of course. So that's pretty much my Cinco de Mayo experience. It's me just kind of like ramping up for that upcoming holiday.
You pretty much do the same thing like you do in Cinco de Mayo. You drink a lot, you cry about your life, and you realize it is a good life.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. If that's the spirit of Cinco de Mayo, then yes, I celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
First off.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a culture where everybody kept on asking me, "Oh, Chris, Cinco de Mayo, it's Mexican Independence Day." And I think since I was 5 years old, I had to tell people, "No, it's not Independence Day. It's not." And ever since then, I was never a fan of it because my family's never celebrated Cinco de Mayo.
Well, for those who don't know, and again, if we have any fact checkers out there, then please let us know in the comments below, or wherever you can put your opinion. Cinco de Mayo is actually the Battle of Puebla, which was in a town or city, depending on how they see themselves, called Puebla, which was being invaded by, was it the French?
Yeah,
the French. And without a little historical lesson here in the corner of Oddlude, these people did not have the weaponry that a militarized French army did.
No, they did not.
They had machetes, sticks, rocks, but the will to be like, no, senor, no independence here. And so they fought against.
Wow.
They fought against.
Well, if we're talking about, hold on, the Cinco de Mayo was, I'm looking it up here, so 1862. So it's not going to be the peasantry armed force as you're traditionally used to, because in the 1860s, that's the same thing like the U.S. military in the sense of it's still a modernized rank and file shoot kind of thing.
You're telling me that these people from Puebla had military arms? And
they should have at some point in the 1860s under the Juarez presidency. I think that should have been something like that.
Can I ask this? Will this be on the test?
I was about to say, I didn't expect the first topic here to be like a historical conversation, but I'm kind of into it. Let's talk about the Alamo next.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about historical moments in southern U.S. and Mexico border history. I mean, who knows? This is Showtime Penny. You can go anywhere. But I mean, I would think that they didn't have arms. Like that's why it was so
Well,
celebrated.
I mean, yeah, they also have legs. What's your point?
fucking ass.
You need arms and legs to
You know
fight.
what? I walked into that one, Jason. I'll give you that. But
Dude,
nonetheless,
I'll tell you how it went. They were like, "We're gonna go to war." I was like, "Fuck! What do you got?" I got this shovel. Fuck it, let's go.
we got this essay. But
We
like
got this.
the idea was that it was such an overwhelming force that
Wait.
like a group, kind of like the American independence, you know, our
Hold
fight with
on.
the British.
Hold on, I just thought of this. Like, I just imagine two guys are about to go into the Mexican army. He's like, "Hey, so what do you got?" I got this musket and this knife. I go, "Fuck, that ain't enough. Grab some of that dirt." And when you're in the fight, you fucking
Pocket
fight.
sand.
And then pocket
Yeah.
sand was born.
Well, at least from here, yeah, it was the French and Mexican nobility had 6,500 troops. The Mexicans had 4,500. So, holy crap, that's a definite difference.
Is this from Wikipedia?
Yeah, I'm totally wicking it.
Yeah, so am I.
Okay.
Do you
Other
guys
than
You
think
that,
never
though-
lied to me.
Wait, hold on.
yeah,
Go ahead.
do you guys think that like people that are involved in these like major historical events that later turn into holidays that are excuses for drinking, do you think they have an idea that like that's going to happen? Like, do you think like Saint Patrick, when he drove the snakes, read like druids from Ireland, he was just like, yeah, people are going to get mad drunk after this. And and you mentioned like the Revolutionary War earlier, Bravo, and I realized like we don't celebrate like the Boston Tea Party that much. Like I feel like that's a perfect holiday to turn into a drinking excuse, you know? Like
Yeah, that's a good point.
like it's based off American Rebellion. It's all about a bunch of people getting drunk and destroying public property.
mean, to be
and
fair,
cosplay,
though,
Kevin, cosplay.
and
I mean,
cosplay.
to be fair though, Kevin, like look at it this way. Compare the acts of the Boston Tea Party to how like we celebrate 4th of July.
Uh-huh.
We not only have barbecues and party, we are like spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on stuff that is going to literally burn in the sky.
Yeah, but the 4th of July is like it, you know, that's all of independence like wrapped up. This is like the big celebration, like fireworks, actual parties. But like St. Patrick's Day in America, you know, we don't have like government like big celebrations,
Yeah.
at least none that I'm like really aware of. There's probably like some state governments or something like that. Anyway, but you know, like I said, it's like Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day. Those are really just kind of like casual holidays, at least from the American perspective,
Yeah.
that are excuses for drinking. So I feel like that could be what the Boston Tea Party is. Like not an official holiday, but one where it's like, you know, local
an excuse
news
to
will be
go out
like,
and drink.
"Oh, how are you celebrating the Boston Tea Party?" Well, just like my ancestors, I'm stealing onto a boat, I'm stealing a bunch of booze, I'm dressing up like a Native American, and that's where we need to stop it right there.
But people at Fox are like, no, keep rolling. I
Yeah.
want sound effects.
Yeah. Then suddenly it becomes a war on the Boston Tea Party. You know, people should have the.
I'm gonna celebrate it like my ancestors celebrated. He gets naked and starts chugging like fucking Four Locos.
You know what? Actually, I answer my own question. I think it's good that we don't celebrate the Boston Tea Party as a holiday.
It's like, hold up, wait a minute. No, I did see like a post during I
So
think,
many boats are getting broken into.
the real American way.
Cruise ships are gearing up for the Boston Tea Party by hiring private security.
Apparently, I was watching, not watching. I read a Reddit post that during like I think the celebration or like this is the day that the Boston Tea Party happened, and some guy or girl did like the calculation of how much like they were bricks of tea.
Yeah.
They weren't like typical like tea bags that we're used to. They looked like a hard chocolate sort of thing.
Fun fact: tea bags were invented by accident.
There you go. He made the calculations that a little chunk. I mean, you guys can't see because we don't have a camera, but like a little like I think a 2-inch chunk, 2x2, cost a good amount of money. You know, due to inflation, especially nowadays. That every crate that they supposedly throw out in the harbor, like that entire storage of tea, cost like a small fortune. And now when I realize that, I'm like, oh, that explains a lot. Because I'm like, it's just tea. They must have had a lot of it or whatever. You know, it's just like, I thought it was just the fines. Like, this guy explained it like, no, it was a huge blow to the economical pockets that was, you know, Great Britain.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That was,
oh my God.
that was the first cartel.
That was... They got the good shit. Oh, is that lavender tea?
No, yeah, it's never just like a thing. Like it wasn't like fuck tea. It was like, you know, fuck your
Fuck
economic
tea.
powerhouse on our nation.
That's what it was. That's how it went. I was like, man, fuck this shit. And they just
Jason,
threw it
write
off
this
the
down. That
boat.
might be an interesting shirt idea for us at some point.
This is definitely going to be a Twitter post out of the random
tea?
Boston Tea Party Day.
To all of our British listeners, I personally enjoy some tea. I'm not of the fuck tea party.
Just to create some tension, I will take up the representative of the fuck tea party.
I'll just say, down with the British.
Just because
But
I
not our
like
British
a good
viewers.
fight. That's good because I like a good fight. Fuck tea.
But okay, so the Battle of Puebla really is not celebrated by a majority of like Mexico. Because even I remember when I asked my mom, like, Mom, what's like Cinco de Mayo? And she's like, oh, it's something that happened in Puebla, but we didn't really celebrate it because guess what? It didn't really affect us. And I was like, oh, yeah? But apparently we had family members who lived in Puebla who treated it like it was like July 4th. Because it
Now,
was
you
just
know
a
a
big
battle-
like FU to like the higher ups, or the people in power, or, you know, just bigger folk, that they pretty much celebrated by getting shit pissed drunk, listening to rancheras, and apparently fighting bulls.
I'm looking
Well,
up
you know
Urban
what,
Dictionary
Val?
right now to see if shit pissed drunk. It's shit face, but I'm looking to see if like anyone in the history of humanity
When
said
you're
shit
Bravo.
drunk
pissed
enough, you just start pissing. I'm just
Bravo,
saying.
bravo. You know what battle affected me?
The battle,
The battle for Mid Earth. That battle was really tough for me. It was a real time strategy game. I got real mad. Never played it again. I said, "Fuck this game." And when I went back, the servers went down in 2010. So I was really sad. I was like, "Well, it's the end of that."
Now, in true, like I know there's something we were talking about. We asked you, Kevin, if you ever listened to ranchero music.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like you played an example. I'm like, oh, hey, this is well, I did. I was about to say mariachi music, and I'm like, if I say that out loud, I feel like that would be wrong. But I also know Bravo won't get insulted.
Exactly.
But also, but yeah,
Kevin,
it's
no matter what you say, I'll always be insulted. Just say
I appreciate that about you, Jason. But yes, Bravo, ranchero music.
So
First off-
ranchero music, or as sometimes I like to call it, the music you hear at every quinceañera, is is the kind of music that like makes you just get up and dance, but it's more like you're just stomping the ground and going, yeah. Like,
Are you sure, Bravo?
I do want to say something with Bravo bringing up dancing. I didn't know it was called ranchero music, but I did find the exact genre of music that like flipped a switch in Bravo's head, and like whenever I would play it on YouTube, he would immediately just start like doing this like signature dance.
it's almost like the hoedown that who was that guy in the Looney Tunes, that the guy with the big mustache?
Yosemite
Why the
Sam.
coyote?
Yosemite Sam.
Like
Yeah,
the
why
dance
the
he
coyote
does.
say?
Like,
Oh yeah.
Wait, now, Chris, do you hate it because you grew up with that music?
Okay, well, we need to break it down here. So, from
Okay,
what Bravo's
ladies and gentlemen,
describing...
welcome to the part of Show Title Penning with Professor Chris on audio is going to tell us exactly what ranchero music is.
Well, yes. So
Continue.
what we're looking at here is the music.
Why did you
is
get
a-
German
Why are you
and like
English?
and
Hey,
Irish?
man, let the professor talk. You gotta raise your hand.
He went Irish and German in one sentence.
Yeah.
I know,
About
right?
Latin music.
Well, we see here that as a music called ranchero. Okay, I can't. The thing is, the ranchero I grew up with. So, like, let's break it down. The basic core Mexican music is going to be mariachi, right? So you're going to have guys with guitars all singing, dressed up in unison, violins.
unison.
Well, yeah, I mean, sorry, in uniform. And then there's obviously the trumpet, guitarron, which is the big fat bass, violins and stuff. That's mariachi as we know, correct?
So basically what I sent down there in the chat.
Yeah, and then what you have as ranchero is when it's more of a single a single entity that's going to sing and play guitar.
So
like,
basically that video I sent on top of the mariachi.
Yeah. So then, but you get more memorable lyrics, and the guy's going to be like, "Se me acabó la fuerza de mi mano izquierda, voy a darte a ti el mundo."
What he,
or,
what
"A
he
ti
just said is,
solita." I'm not done singing, damn it. I'm just kidding.
I'm
Anyways,
gonna have to stop you right there, brother. I'm just not feeling it. I don't think
And
and
then-
then Mexican Idol. Okay.
Before you continue, just look at that album cover. Like, unfortunately, the audience won't be able to see this, but I posted a video of I don't know how to pronounce his name. El Commander, is that how it is?
El Commander.
El Commander. Look at him just like staring.
If it's with the accordion, my understanding growing up, that's more norteño.
What about Tejano?
Well, again, these are subcategories, but yeah, I grew up
Kevin,
not.
are you learning a lot
we,
from this wonderful educational seminar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paying attention. I'm taking notes.
This will be on the test.
Yeah, I did bring Burger King to this classroom like I did in many of my other college classes. The first time
Kevin,
I did that, oh my god! The
What
professor
you need to
fucking
do is
hated me.
put Kevin in a room and then play La Chona, and then that's all he
no.
knows.
You know
Yeah.
that you're
I
I
don't
know
want to
the
hear
song.
that fucking song. That fucking song.
Hey, La
Dude,
Chona, bum, 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 bum,
you know what sucks? When me and Chris, before this whole lockdown, and we were working because we work off of Santee Alley, they play that song like almost every Sunday. Jesus Christ, dude! How many times did you hear that
Santee
song?
Alley is like a very like prominent Latino community area.
Well, it's not a community area, but more of a
It's just
shopping area.
the downtown LA swap meet.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a Latin swap meet. But actually, you know what's funny? Now that I think about it, there's actually a lot of like different ethnic stores down there. There's a lot of Arabic stores that are running mainly
Well,
suits.
yeah, they're going to be doing the carpets in the carpet section.
No, they're doing suits now.
They're doing suits. Oh yeah, that's
There's
right.
a couple
yeah.
of them that do suits, and then there's a lot of fabric clothes shops that are run by Asians and Mexicans, and surprisingly, there is no Caucasian stores
So
or
you
black
get the
stores out there.
whole rainbow there of multicultural music on our commute to work.
Not really, not
China
really.
still
You get
dominates.
fucking one culture of music, and it plays nonstop, and I hate it sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, just play me something different, and then in the background, I'll hear like a
Even-
rap song from some dude's car that's bumping that, and then it just fades away, and it's back to Mexican
Yeah,
music
and it's
again.
always the speaker vendors that full blast it, and it's like, DJ Hector Ordóñez, yada yada yada.
Yep,
And you're like,
that's exactly what it is.
and el escenario, ándale muchachos, and you're like, oh geez, here we go.
So like,
And then you have the parking attendants dude screaming barco barco, and then I shut up. I just want to get through this day.
Yeah,
you
in
ever been
silence.
to a Mexican swap meet, Kevin?
Oh yeah.
Wonderful. I mean, it's
Which
like
one?
you could literally find anything in there.
That's not true.
Like what?
they don't have tigers.
He's got a point there.
You know, speaking of tigers, and so Tiger King, we all watched it. Everyone talked
Yeah.
about it.
I have not seen it.
You have not seen it. Definitely check it out.
I'm gonna be honest. I looked at it and said to myself, "This looks like garbage TV."
Well,
No, you're not wrong there.
here's kind of, I mean, there's a lot to like glean from Tiger King, but the main thing I got from this documentary about insane people who own tigers is there is quite a lot people will do for access to tigers and cocaine. And so that's kind of like the question in the back of my mind right now is like, what would I do for tigers and cocaine? Like,
Fuck that shit.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, Kevin, what would you do for
Hold on.
tigers?
Kevin, give us what would you do for a Klondike bite? What would you do for tigers and cocaine?
a Klondike bite? Just a bite of a Klondike?
The fuck out. What would you do for tigers and cocaine?
I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. That's what haunts me. It's just like, you think about like being near tigers. That's awesome. Like celebrities like pose with the tigers, put it on their Instagram. And like, cocaine. Hey, I mean, that's a nice thing in the background. I don't do it myself. Currently under the legalities of Los Angeles and also through moral standards.
That has never stopped anybody.
But I after I'm legally obligated to say that, it's just. That is just like two like separate like very powerful temptations that are usually not mixed, but once you mix the two, it's just like, well, I mean, what would you do for that?
All right, let me stop you right there. Never in my life have I ever thought of being next to a tiger. That thing eats animals almost roughly its own size. So fuck that. Okay?
So you're saying you would never pose next to an apex predator?
Fuck no. Dude, I get freaked out posing next to my neighbor's Rottweiler. Okay? You think I'm gonna pose next to a tiger? A Rottweiler could eat my face. That thing could eat me.
Well, give the Rottweiler some time. He could finish the rest of you.
Yeah, but actually, you know what? That's an interesting thing you guys brought up because it reminds me of I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast with Bill Burr. It's like an older episode. And they were talking about what would be a horrible animal to die to. And Bill said, I would prefer actually to die to a tiger because it's a one. It basically, if it strikes you, it's going to kill you. And
Yeah,
that's
it'll go
it.
for the neck, right?
Yeah, but they said the worst thing to die to is a bear because
Why is that?
So here's the reason. It eats you alive. It doesn't. Unlike a tiger where it kills you then eats you. The bear is just going
that's
to eat
right.
you.
Okay,
It's just going to eat you. So it's going to just put its paw down on you, and it's just going to start taking chunks out of you. And you're alive, feeling that. Where at least a tiger, it's just going to go for your neck, kill you, then just start eating. So you'll be dead on its first by that first bite. But Bill said the funniest thing. He goes, "If it comes after me, I'm just going to stick my neck out to make sure it's got a clear shot because I'm not going to."
Yeah.
I feel like the worst animal to die to, honestly, like it wouldn't be a bear. Like, yes, being eaten alive by a bear, that would be the worst. But at least afterward, you have the story of like, oh, he was eaten by a bear, and everyone's like, oh shit, that was the guy that got eaten by a bear. That's like you could put that on your tombstone. That's fantastic. But I feel like the worst animal to die to would be like one of those like super poisonous ones that you like touch and then you're like in pain and then it just like disappears, because then it's not like, oh, this blue ringed octopus killed this guy.
Yeah.
Like maybe a doctor can find that out through like testing, but you know the story at the end of the day is going to be, yeah, he was just found dead on the beach.
But just like
That's
the
true.
time it takes for it to kill you.
Yeah.
Isn't it
Yeah.
also like
I forgot what movie it was. They were it was basically a couple that was lost in the sea, and maybe you guys can remember the name. But I just remember how it ended. It was the girlfriend. The boyfriend had died. The girlfriend it's starting to get like it's like morning, and she's just floating in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Sharks are coming around her, and so you know she's going to die, but she instead, to make it easier on her, she decides to drown herself. And I just had like an anxiety attack of thinking of that. I was like, dude, just imagine like you either get eaten by sharks or you're gonna drown to death. What would be the worst pain? And she thought getting eaten would suck more, so she decided to just drown herself.
Well, yeah, same thing. Sharks, they don't
That's how the
just
movie
eat you
ends.
in one gulp. They start,
Yeah.
taking you like, bit by bit. Like, have you ever seen fish eat? It's all nibbles.
Yeah, like the way like piranhas eat. Just
Yeah, nibble by nibble by
More
nibble.
chunks of
And then, yeah. Well,
By the way-
I don't know if I heard that same story, Jason, but one thing I did learn, which is a great survival technique, is differentiating between apex predators and then what I was told is accidental predator. So an apex predator, that's what the tiger is, in the sense of it will lock onto you, it will target you, it will kill you first, and then it will eat you. And then the grizzly bear, I think, qualifies as an accidental predator, where it doesn't, scope you out and says, okay, I'm going to kill you. But it's an accidental in the sense of it'll investigate you first. And what people say is if you're in a situation where you think you cannot outrun a bear, the best thing to do is actually to play dead.
I always thought it was act big.
Well, I mean, no. But, because the bear can overtake you.
No,
10-1.
The best thing to do is just run faster than the guy you're with. Like that's what I have always heard.
Oh,
about.
yeah, of course.
Bear
But in that
attacks.
situation where you can't run, I heard this from a survival
Sorry,
expert.
Jim. Just don't.
Yeah. That
Chris,
if you play, yeah.
I need you to take like 2 inches back from your mic. The accidental predator here is all your mic pops.
Oh, sorry.
It is your lips brushing against the mic.
No, you have
My
to
bad.
understand.
That-
We have to know about the predator.
This is the worst way to die for me. It's just death by 1,000 pops from Chris's lips.
Peter Piper picked a pickle.
And ladies and gentlemen, everything that Chris said will be on the test at the end of this podcast.
Here's the test.
If Bravo is running at 5 miles per hour and Kevin is running at 6 miles per hour, but Bravo shot Kevin in the leg beforehand, he gets eaten by the bear.
But Bravo also has his pods and plays Deja Vu. How fast will he run according to time?
And then like right after all that is like a calculus test. Like what? This was history.
Write an
That's me
essay on
thinking
why
about
you think which one should die first.
God,
Actually, have you guys ever had dreams? This happened to me where
I've had dreams once.
where I'm in class and it's the end of the year and I've not done any of the homework and I'm like, oh fuck, my grade's gonna be an F. And then like the teacher's getting on my case and I look at him, I'm like, wait, I graduated with bachelor's. Why am I in high school? And then I wake up, I'm like, why did I have that dream? And it's always math for me. It's always fucking math. I hate that dream.
Can you imagine?
No, never.
Like here in California, you have like every certain number of years you have to retake the driving test to kind of like get your license recertified. Can you imagine having to take like a general ed test every certain years to make sure that your diploma still is valid?
Society would fall
Jeez.
apart.
Yeah, that would be riots.
If I had to like relearn like calculus, but yeah, if I had to relearn,
Kevin had like a
That pause was that like, is our air conditioning running right now?
yeah, I have no idea. There's this heat wave going on in LA. Even if our air conditioner's running, it's not working.
Yeah, it sucks.
No, I thought you were just having like a self-realization moment, like, God,
Like-
calculus.
I will say in that moment, I was also thinking like, what calculus do I remember? And like just a bunch of like lines and squiggles appeared in my head. I'm like, charts, right? That had something to do with calculus. But yeah, no, like if there was just like a general education test you had to do like every so often, like bring back what was it? The I step or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like every 5 years you have to write an essay on Catcher in the Rye or something like that. Ugh.
I mean, but would
Yeah.
you think that would, like, if this was implemented years ago, like this is kind of a norm, do you think would be a little bit more, what's the word, filled with common sense?
I feel
No.
like there'd be a lot more like how to cheat videos, but like for adults on YouTube, like okay, yeah, like those ones that get like super into it, like the ones where it's like, hey, print your own custom Gatorade like label so that way the answers to the test are in the ingredients sidebar. And it's like, if you're putting that much effort in, just fucking study, bro.
Okay, let me guys ask you this: did you ever get into some sort of immaculate cheating scheme for that one class that you needed to pass or something?
No, I just
Or-
failed.
I
Or you just failed? Okay.
I'm sorry. I just love the immediate honesty from Jason. He's like, I have honor. I just failed.
Well, because I
Yeah.
figured this, like, hear me out. I'm doing bad in the class, okay? I'm like doing
Typical,
really
yes.
bad. Like, you want to know the class I failed at was Spanish. Ironically, it was Spanish. And I remember my teacher coming up to me, is like, you know, you're gonna fail, and I go, I know. And she goes, you're not even gonna try to cheat? Like, she even asked me, and I go, look, let
That
me
is a
get
true
real
teacher.
with you for a second.
Honest and loving.
Let me get real with you. You're telling me that I'm going to pass from one test, and she goes, "Well, no, okay." So I'm already doing. I'm already in the shits at this point. And then I've been doing bad on my homework. You could tell I can't even write or speak the language. And then this one test, I get 100% or even 90%. And you're going to tell me that doesn't look suspicious to the point where you could take that to the principal and I could get suspended. And she goes, okay, I see your point. I go, exactly.
You ever
I'm
thought
not
about
going
being a
to
lawyer?
cheat. No, because I would have to. I can't pass fucking Spanish. I'm not going to pass law school. I'm honest.
Okay, so Jason has honor.
So you know what's funny? I remember she goes, "Well, you need to fill up because I think for high school that was language, no, fine arts and language. That was the category for me." And I went to go see my counselor, and she goes, "Okay, well, I can find you another class, and you can fill this requirement up." I go, "Okay, what could I take?" So she's like, "Well, do you want to take French?" And I go, "Lady, I just couldn't pass my own culture's language. You think I'm gonna be able to pass another culture's language? Like, I need something that's not language." She goes, "How about cooking?" And I go, "Fuck it." And I passed high school with cooking. And my teacher, oh my God, dude, she was basically the female version of Gordon Ramsay. She would yell. She would be like, "This isn't cooked." Ah! She just screamed really loud. Oh my God. And I used to argue with her, but this is a true story. When there's two levels of cooking for her. So there's the beginning level, and if you took the advanced course, you cooked for the teachers, and they got really good lunches. Well, the rest of us got basically food that was burnt in the microwave but still cold in the middle. I don't know how that works. That's some weird science right there that I never studied. Anyways, I remember this teacher was making this chicken. It was like an Asian fusion kind of food, but it was like a salad with chicken. It was really good. And I said, I want this for lunch because the only thing they were serving us was like sloppy joes. And let me tell you, it was more sloppy than Joey. So I didn't want it. It was disgusting, dude. I remember what they burnt the sloppy joe. So swear to God, the buns were burnt on the outside, but it was cold and soggy on the inside.
You mean it had a
Like-
nice char flavor?
I feel like if
I
I
don't know
saw,
about nice.
I feel like if I saw it was more sloppy than Joey on like a Yelp review, I would never go to that place. Like that poetic, like this is that bad. I would just be like, I gotta take this random person's word for it.
So I go to my teacher. I'm not gonna name her name, but she was my math teacher, and I said, "Hey, I'm letting you know I was one of the cooks for the lunch. You guys are having like this Asian fusion salad, chicken salad sort of thing. Could you get me one? I don't want to eat the school lunch." And she goes, "Why don't you want to eat the school lunch?" I'm like, "Let's not kid ourselves. Have you seen that shit?" And she goes, "Okay, I understand you." So I said, "I will pay for your lunch if you buy me that lunch too." She goes, "Deal." So I gave her $20. It was $10 per plate. And everybody in my group of friends were just eating that fucking nasty sloppy Joe shit. And there I am eating this delicious plate of night. And by the way, all the students did was prep it. Once it went into the ovens and all that, she took over. So it was her cooking it. And dude, that shit was amazing. It was so good. And all my friends were like, "How did you get that?" And I go, "Skills." And I left it like
I'm
that.
sorry, you peasants are too poor to understand.
Yeah. Dude, oh my! Now that I think about it, I did so much shit. And I used to have a little bootleg DVD racket going on. I was selling to everybody, to the teachers and all that. And I got caught by the narc, and he opened my backpack. And this is when Spider-Man 3 had just came out, and I already had gotten I had gotten a Chinese copy, which basically is, it's basically a screener copy with the subtitles at the bottom, so it was clean. And the guy saw it and he goes, "You got Spider-Man 3?" And I go, "Yeah." I go, "I'll make you a deal. You can keep you can keep my DVDs, so you can watch whatever you want. Just let me go." And he goes, "Okay." So the narc let me out.
You learn true skills of the American system.
Oh, dude, I remember just doing stupid stuff in school. I had a lot of fun sometimes in high school.
There
Well,
was
have any of you ever?
Real quick, Chris.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like scandals in my like suburban, mostly white high school, and I think the biggest scandal was we had we had like male cheerleaders for the pep rallies and like the football games and all that. We had like the regular like female cheerleaders, and then we had like the special I'm just gonna call them the boys. Which they would be at the pep rallies and like hype people up and all that. And it was like the second or third like football game where afterward we got an announcement from the principal over the speakers that a shame had befallen our high school. All of the boys were taken out of the group because they were all caught like drinking under the bleachers. And immediately after, she was like, auditions for the second wave of the boys would be like in the gym, and like no one showed up because if you didn't make it into the first group of the boys, you're certainly not going to like be this like the second rate boys afterwards. So we just for that year we just like we had pep rallies and we didn't have like the drunk the hype men. It was so weird.
So for my senior year, I don't know if you guys did, if your schools did it, but they did like the senior prank sort of thing. We always did it at my school, and they trashed the school. They graffitied it, they TP'd it. But on the graffiti, my senior year, we lost our grad night. We lost all like graduation stuff. So it was just one boring year for my year. But they wrote in spray paint on the floor, "For every 2 steps we make forward, we take 3 steps back." And that pissed off the principals. Dude, they spray painted the whole school. It looked like real ghetto looking. It was really bad. There was another one where Mark Keppel, I think this happened a couple years back. I'm at this point I'm already working with you guys, but I heard the volleyball teacher had a sexual affair with some of the female volleyball students.
God damn, man.
Yeah, so like they got like a scandal like that going on. I'm like, wow. The worst thing I guess mine was the spray paint one. What about you, Chris?
I'm sorry about that, Chris. I knew you had something to say.
Oh no, worst one for me. Oh geez, it's okay. So I learned that I had to take a statistics class just to for my transfer from junior college to a 4-year. That I had to do stats because I was doing not a science related thing or whatever, so I didn't need to take calculus. So I was freaking out because it's like I had to do a proctor exam, yada, yada, yada. And then I didn't realize that, after I did the test, mind you, I already done the test. I already like went through hell, sweating bullets and everything. And then my friend tells me, you do know you can put notes in the calculus calculator, in your graphing calculator, right? And I'm like, what? Yeah, dude, you can. There's a little app you can put in that you can put all the formulas and everything you needed to memorize in the graphing calculator. Son of a.
And that was the greatest prank of all time.
Yeah, I was like, wow,
God.
really?
Actually, let me ask you guys, Kevin. I don't know. You're originally from Indiana, correct? I always get that. Did your state have like an exit exam you had to take for your high school?
Not like an exit exam. Like we had like the big like test that determined like state funding because our education system is broken.
What was that?
So like
the
junior and senior year, we would be led into a room and we'd have to write like 3 essays in an hour and then do like the multiple choice, like that kind of thing. But it wasn't like yeah. But that was less for like our personal grades and more for like do well or we lose money.
So Bravo, I'm not sure if you had to do it.
Oh, I did.
So Chris, you had to do it too then, right? The California exit exam?
Yeah, that was when they first instituted. I think that was my year, my graduating year, 05 or something.
And I think I was 08. I think it was 08 or 07, I forget. But I remember that and I freaked out because I had failed the math portion. So I had to do it again, but thankfully in the summer I had passed. But I think it was after your year, Bravo, they stopped implementing it.
What? Because I know I graduated high school in 2010, I believe.
Yeah, so I think it was like 2011 they had finally got rid of it.
I hope you guys don't mind if I like bring the topic back to cheating because I just remembered the stupidest case of cheating that happened in my school. So it was in my Spanish class.
It's always Spanish. I love it.
Spanish is a hard language. Okay,
Spanish is a hard language. Especially when it's not taught well. But I mean, we had some like creative cheaters. We had like the people that would put like answers on the brim of their hat, so now we couldn't wear hats during tests. We had people who, like the people who wrote on their arms, like they would get caught. But we also had people who would like put slips of like paper in their shoes. But the most stupid one was apparently this dude had he had like laid on his back and like wrote the answers upside down on his chest. So that way, while he was taking the test, he would just look under his shirt and like, see, like some of the answers. And it's like, for a split second, you think like, oh, that might be clever before you think about like this guy is just pulling his shirt open and like looking down at his bare chest, like 20 times in 1 minute during this test. And like, it barely lasted a minute before the professor was like, what are you doing?
Just checking if my chest hair grows in. I'm a growing boy.
Nope,
what? Ma'am, I have a lot of self-confidence.
I work for this body and I want it to really inspire me right now.
A good friend of mine had the same Spanish teacher that I was failing in her class, and he was just failing just as bad. And ironically, he took cooking to pass that second thing. So it seems like if you just fail a language class at my school, you just took cooking.
The language of all nations.
But
you can't pronounce quesadilla. Maybe you can make it.
So the funny thing was he was failing worse than I was, or maybe about just as bad. And when he took the test, he didn't even try. See, I tried on the test and just failed. He would just every time he had to start like a sentence or like fill in the word, he would put the first word "al" and then put an "o" at the end. So he would put like "al chero" or "al phono" or some shit like that. And then finally, when we had to do the Scantron test, the fill in the bubbles, multiple choice, he didn't even do that. He just drew a monkey and then turned it in.
Oh my god!
He drew, but it was a really well drawn monkey. But the teacher wrote "see me after class."
Okay, hang on. Did he just like draw like freehand a monkey, or did he make a monkey out of the bubbles? Because I feel like one is more impressive than the other.
He freehanded the monkey. Okay.
Could you imagine like the teacher would have to give you some artistic points for that?
Also, I think statistically you would at least get one answer right if you did that.
Yeah, I remember
sort of shit.
So towards the end, so in senior year, I had done enough credits where I only needed 5 classes, and I took an anatomy as one of my science classes, but I didn't need it. I actually took earth science, and I'll get to that in a second. But I also was TA. I loved being a TA. That was so much fun. I used to be TA for the book room in junior year, and then senior year, I was TA for one of my favorite art teachers who did ceramics. And that was cool because I got to just kick it with my friends who were in the class, just clean up, go get the mail. But I got to go to basically all the teacher stuff. I got to do that with her, grading and all that stuff. And that was fun. But when I was TA for the book room, I remember it was the end of the year. And I don't know if you guys had this at your school. You had to get in line, and it was always turn in your books.
Oh, yeah.
So my friends were like, "Hey, Jason, you're the TA for the book room, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And the cool thing was when I started, I could turn in my books anytime I want because I had the little scanner thing to do it. They go, "Could you turn in my books?" I go, "Yeah, just hand them to me." And I had like 6 friends who gave me all their textbooks. So I come in with this backpack and 2 arms full of books. I drop them down. I start turning it. And she's like, "Jason, who are all these books?" I'm like, "Oh, they're mine." And she goes, "Really? These are yours?" I go, "Yeah." It's like, "You're doing algebra 1 and calculus?" And I looked at her, I'm like, "I'm really smart." And she just looked like, whatever. She didn't want to argue with me because she knew how I was. Dude, it was so funny. And then I started having students asking me, like, "Hey, could you turn in the books?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, just hand it to me." So I would come in, and finally she goes, "You need to stop doing their books." I'm like, "Why? Like, you're getting them back, and I'm organizing them."
I feel like your entire history in the California educational system was you were either a racketeering boss, an underworld boss, or some sort of fucking criminal without doing a crime.
Oh no, I got a good one. So Raymond, our friend Raymond, Kevin and Chris, you haven't met him, but Bravo and I have a friend named Raymond. He's a friend of mine from high school. He had the pottery class with a former friend of ours too, and they were supposed to make basically they were asked to make a mythological creature of their choice. So like the head of a shark, the body of a lion, something like that.
Oh yes, lion shark.
Yeah, and so they spent 2 weeks drawing it out. Like they were working together as a group drawing this creature, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we'll put this and this." And so finally. And remember, I'm TA, so I have to collect their work and everything. It's like, "Jason, we're finally done with our drawing here." I'm like, "What do you mean finally done? The project is due today. Where's your project? Where's the thing?" And they go, "Oh, yeah, we haven't started." And
Oh, jeez.
dude, oh my God. Me and him in high school were so dumb. We had to do this book called, I don't know if you guys read the book, Things Fall Apart. It was based about colonialism in Africa when they were still more tribal, and it's from the perspective of one of the tribesmen. And one of the papers was that we had to write this. We had to write in the story. There's these 2 tribes that are fighting, and as a peace offering, one of the tribe leaders gives their kid to the other. And so what we had to do was the homework was write a letter from the perspective of the child who was given to the other tribe back to his parents. Because they I guess in the book they were still able to, you know what I'm talking about. We know where this is going. You're going with this. So as they are the kid was still able to talk to his parents. He just couldn't live with them. He had to live with the tribe. So Raymond writes this letter, okay, and this is how it went. And he goes, "Dear Mom and Dad, I learned to write, but you don't know how to read. Oh well." And he turned it in. And he got an A. And I was like, "That is fucking stupid."
Jesus.
Beyond belief. Dude, I did a letter in another one we had to do was a Macbeth letter. It was over the Christmas holiday. We came back, and this is how fucking dumb this was. I told my friends, "All right, guys, I spent 2 weeks." So we had a career center where we would hang out and study. I go, "All right, guys, I did this letter for 2 weeks. I'm really proud of what I wrote." And my friend saw it, and it goes, "Duh." I wrote my name really nice on the corner, on the top corner right, but all I wrote was "the," and they were like, "Jason, you're not gonna get an A on this." I was the only one who turned it in, and the teacher gave me an A.
Wow.
Jason,
my school was janky.
how the hell? What the? One, how did you survive high school? How did you pass? I love you,
dude,
Jason, but you're showing the
I knew the routes.
flaws.
I knew the roads.
Oh
That's
my
that's
god.
how you get by. If you know the teachers who are cool, and if you know the people behind the scenes that can help you out, you can get away with a lot of murder.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I feel like 30 episodes in, we're going to hear about how Jason blackmailed all the teachers into giving him A's.
I
Dude,
will just be like, ha ha ha.
my friend drew a naked person named Senor Juan. It was just like this weird naked character. And I was like, what is this? He goes, it's Senor Juan. I was like, give me it. I went to the teacher's room when I had to go pick up mail. I made copies of it, and I put it in all the teachers' mailbox. And then the next day, the teacher's like, have you guys seen this drawing? It's really weird. And it's just this naked, but like there's no penis or anything. It's just but it can clearly tell it's like a naked guy. And it's like him posing really nice with like a little Mexican sombrero. And it just says Senor Juan at the bottom, and it made in our newspaper.
Hey, hang on. Okay, hang on. That threw me for a loop real quick. So let me break that down. So you went into the teacher's lounge. I'm assuming at your school students are not allowed in there, right?
I was TA.
Oh, you were TA.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I went to go get the mail.
It was
But
an inside
remember,
job.
Using the
Okay, cool.
privileges.
I'm abusing my privileges. I would go in there and get the mail, and also talk to some of the teachers too, just to see who were there. Because I was good friends with my English teacher. I was good friends with my math teacher. My science, like pretty much all my teachers. One thing I've noticed, I'm really good at talking with older people than people my own age. So I would talk to them a lot and just be like, hey, how you doing? And I miss taking your classes and all this stuff. So I would go in there and talk to them while I was getting the mail, or if I had to, I would use the copy machine to make copies for homeworks or assignments, whatever I had to do. So when I was in there, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just make scans of this real quick, and no one's gonna look at me because they're like, oh, it's just a TA doing TA stuff.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, bye.
I underestimated like how much you can get away with, as long as you were like friends with the teacher. Like
yeah.
I didn't make use of it that much, except for like one time I was like working a part-time job. This was around like senior year of high school. I was friends with the video teacher at the time, and the video teacher he used to be the government teacher, and they put him in the video class and he just kind of spent most of the time just kind of like hanging out, messing around with his computer, giving us like fun projects every now and then, but there wasn't a whole lot of learning going on. And so, yeah. So I was friends with him, and at one point, my part-time job is like, listen, we have this like big company meeting going on, but it's at like noon, and we would like you guys to be there so you could like film it, do your jobs, and then like leave. We would only need you to be there for like like an hour, and we'll pay you like extra if you come in. And like, normally I would be like, oh, well, no, I can't. I have high school. I can't just, ditch class and do it. But it was that exact time was when I was having my video class. So I just went up to my teacher and I was just like, listen, here's the situation. Can I, I know you're not supposed to ask this, but can I ditch? And he looks up at me and he says, as long as this conversation never happened, I won't notice. And I'm like, all right. And so the one time I ditched school was so I could go to my job. And I think that says a lot about me as a person.
It says a lot about the motley crew that we are.
I love you asked, and you basically got permission in the unconventional way.
Yeah, no, I got permission to ditch school because it's like, listen, I'm not ditching so I can like hang out like the skate park and like smoke. I'm ditching so I can like do this quick thing for my job and earn an extra like $50 or something like that. I'm gonna be in. I'm gonna be right out. The problem is like right afterward, my job held me for like a little bit longer, so that class ended. So I had to get back into school and into my next class, and that teacher was not on the down low. I was not friends with that teacher. So me and my coworker, we were just kind of like waiting outside the school until another student like walked in, because like all the doors like locked outside, and so another student walked in. We just go like right behind them. I like walk in the class. I'm like 10 or 20 minutes late at this point, and so the teacher just gives me the stink eye. It's like, where were you? I'm like, I was running late.
A lot of stuff happened in the film class.
Yeah, and it's just like there was this like moment where I could feel like my
Your heart?
No, it's like
Adrenaline?
when you're the good kid in school,
Guilt?
not guilt. When you're the good kid in school, you can actually like like Jason being a TA, he could just go into the student lounge and like scan whatever he wanted, and people will be like, oh, he's just a TA. Like when you're the good kid in school, you can be in any place in the school, and people like think like, oh, you're supposed to be there. I could feel that credibility being like strained in like a stare, and it was just like for a quick moment, the professor was like, and the teacher was just like, fuck it, take your seat. I'm like, all right. I'm not gonna be able to get away with that again.
My school had just started its first like film club. My friend, who I won't name in this one, he was like, okay, I'm gonna ask him when we are gonna start filming. So he was just being a dumbass, and the girl who's in charge of the club, she's going over like what we're gonna do and all this, and it basically ended with him going, hey, I got a question. And she goes, yeah, what's your question? He goes, when do we do the pornos? And the girl looked at him. She goes, we don't do that kind of stuff here. He goes, oh, okay. And then 3 of my friends stood up and walked out. And they just left me there. I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm in this film club now.
When do we do the pornos? We don't do that. Well, I'm gonna head out.
He just got up and walked out like a bunch of assholes.
God.
Dang.
There was like I was a goody two shoes like growing up, like especially in high school, where I didn't have that many like adventures compared to you, Jason, where I abused my power. But one thing that did remind me, and maybe this is touching back on like the kind of dreams we have. I know we like skipped over that for a bit. Was I one time I was so ahead of my credits in classes that during senior year I pretty much only had 4 classes. Where I could get out of school at 12, like at lunch. Okay. Like that's how far ahead I was of everything. Where like I would get out and I would wait for my friends. Like I would like read or do something or take a walk around like the streets that we were by. Mind you, our high school is right next to the police station. So we couldn't really get away with like, senior pranks and shit like that. Though we did have a cocaine bust at some point. 'Cause that's what you do.
Hang on. Are you just gonna like skip over that? Like, was one of the students?
Oh,
like,
it was a ring of students.
Ring of students who had a bunch of cocaine. Okay.
If I remember correctly, I was like, I was in the principal's office, like
school
talking.
Was very notorious.
Oh yeah, it's true. I was in the principal. I was talking to I think either the principal, or the vice principal, or something like that. Just about like stuff to do with like band, because I was in the marching band drumline, and the police come in with an array of students. Of all shapes, sizes, colors, ethnicities, whatever.
A real rainbow of criminals.
A real rainbow of criminals, because our high school was very, very multicultural, and if we did things together, we also did crime together. So they come in handcuffed with their arms behind their back, and it was the principal. I was talking to the principal, and the principal looks up, and she was like, "What the hell's going on?" And I'm just like, "What the fuck?" And the cop, with like gloves and everything, drops a backpack right in front of her, opens it up, and takes out this moderately, sized bag of cocaine, along with plenty of others. To which I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna head out right now. You looks like you're gonna need this. And as I'm walking out, you just see more bags, the backpacks, which I'm guessing are filled with this shit. To which later on, like word spreads around at the lunch table saying, "Y'all, there was a cocaine bust here. Man, I guess what are we gonna do now?" To which I was like, "Hold the fuck up! This was a thing? I thought we were just selling candies and shit." No, so there was a drug bust at my school.
Oof.
But the point I'm trying to get at was I would like sometimes go to like the band room or whatever while they had class, because I was just sleeping in there, because again I was done with school. Every time I dream, and I think I told you guys about this, but I only have 2 types of dreams. Either pitch eternal darkness, I just close my eyes, I see darkness, I wake up, it's the next day, or I die horribly. I'm sitting in the back of the band class, and it's like beginner students, and I'm like I just drove off to sleep. To which, Jason, going back to what you're saying, that like you wake up at school, you're like, oh my god, I'm in the class, I haven't done my homework, right?
Right.
It's the same similar thing, but as I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, I finished. I have so much work to do. I'm gonna be late for class and all that shit. And all I see is like I hear like this slithering, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn around, and I see this massive, what I'm guessing is a python, like some basilisk shit from like Harry Potter, come in, look at me, and says, "You haven't turned in your homework yet." And like Dream Bravo is like, "I'm sorry, I'm almost done." Where it like charges at me, crushes through like the desk. I start running through an endless hall. I'm running. Mind you, this is how much of a nerd I am. I'm still filling out like the homework. And I'm like, oh, I gotta finish it. It's gonna eat me. I run into a room. Kind of like in Outlast 2, there's like this weird throwback moment where you're in a school.
Right.
It turns real like Freddy's out to kill me kind of moment. And as I'm like filling out the paperwork, I'm in a boiler room. Where I'm filling out the last sheet. I'm on the last answer, and the snake busts in, lunges at me. I open the door to a boiler room. It goes in, like somehow this massive 400-foot long python sucks into a small thing. I'm like, oh, I'm safe. Oh, thank God. And I finish the test or the work or whatever it is. I put it down, and all I hear is that thing bust out of it, like skin melting, saying, "You didn't answer the back of the page." And I'm like, "No, please, I'm sorry." And it like rips my head off, and I wake up screaming in the middle of this very like intro to like music class, which are these like freshman kids, to which they end up screaming, and like I think two girls end up crying because it's like a horrific banshee wail. Long story short, I'm no longer allowed in the band room ever.
I feel like there's like 3 psychology grad students listening to this podcast who are like furiously scribbling notes now. There's at least like one notepad with just an equation like Python equals penis sphere.
Well, yeah, but like every dream, I die horrifically.
That's messed up. School controversies, drug related. I never saw it myself, but there was a rumor in my high school that there was a computer in one of the computer lounges taught by this like hippie teacher who, you know, was so high on either like Sudafed or weed that she barely paid attention to anything. And supposedly, like that's where a lot kids would take that class because that's where a lot of like drug deals would be made, where they would just like open up the computer and there would just be like bags of weed in there. I heard about that computer, was never able to see it myself, but that's just like that was like the weirdest rumor that just kind of like went through my high school, was like the drug computer.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was where they would like store their drugs or something like that for like future drug deals, and it's like.
Jesus,
like if that was true, there's gonna be at least like 1 year where they just like switch out the computers just at random to like, hey, we got newer models, and you just have one kid who's like, no.
He's like, well, this is a lot of weed. I guess I'll put this away for safekeeping.
Exactly.
This is going in the evidence locker of my pockets. What about you, Chris? Where's your controversies?
Oh boy, where do I start? Let's see here.
Well, you got a list of it?
Yeah, kind of. Well, here's the thing. Controversies. One, the thing is, our school, we had basically figured out, like, because it was, 2005 when I was in high school.
Yes,
so
yes.
we had an online
Fucking
attendance system. Yeah. Our online attendance system, or basically the OS we were using before XP, was Windows 2000.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, the business
okay.
class.
That was an even older sentence.
Yeah, like, holy shit, that even made me shudder for a second.
Yeah,
And then after school, he would stop by Blockbuster.
So we figured out a way where, like, if we could distract the teacher enough that if they didn't log out of their system at the end of the class, it would crash the server. And we wouldn't get the phone call that, like, oh, your son, or because we would get automated phone calls saying that you weren't in class today. So we needed to call to, the parent needed to call to say, why wasn't your son in class? But if they crash the server, boom, problem solved. Right? And then there was one situation where I think the biggest scandal was we figured out how to install Counter-Strike in class.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Unreal 2003. So there was one period of class. And the funny thing is the teacher knew about it, but he's like, look, guys, you're all smart. I get it. You get the homework in. Technically, there's nothing I can do. because it's like I only have some prepared. I'm only have so much material to prepare. Because remember, this was the early 2000s. There wasn't enough to do in terms of computing. We were just learning how to use systems and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
And basic programming in C. I think it was just basic C+ or whatever. So there was like, yeah, once you do the work, you got the rest of the time to yourself. So someone figured out a crack on how to install Unreal and Counter-Strike. So literally, we would spend that class just playing Unreal and Counter-Strike.
That's
And
awesome.
even those were the days.
See, for me,
Yeah.
no, I was gonna say for me,
There's
my
more.
friends did. Oh yeah.
I feel
There-
like Jason. Sorry to cut you off.
Okay.
Let me just say this as a leaderhead. I am seeing now in this one podcast the true depths of ambition of the men I am working with. And I am so proud knowing that we have conniving, genius, wholehearted individuals wanting to run a production company. And I love it. Jason, I feel like you should be in jail or in Guantanamo or the Gulag for just the shit you have done. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Kids, if there's something, kids, adults, anybody, if you could take something from our experiences, and we're fine, we're not in jail, we're living a okay life. What's important is street smarts, not book smarts. At some points in your
Exactly.
life.
Yeah.
Abuse
So
the system.
all of us are read from Shawshank Redemption.
Remember,
Um,
remember what Andy Dufresne said? He had to go to jail to become a criminal.
Yeah, I had to go to jail to become a crook.
So take notes, everybody, from what we're doing. And then, mind you, we're not professionals, but really listen to the lives we've lived because
What's
we're
this
from
wheat
very
crap?
different upbringings, very different people, cultures.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What's this wheat crap?
Yeah, I was about to say, speak for yourself about professionals. We're getting,
Yeah.
we have patrons. We're getting paid to do this.
We're not professionals like criminals, is what we're saying.
Oh, professional
Shut the fuck up.
criminals.
Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, quick to.
Once again, speak for yourself here. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Sorry, Mr. White Collar Criminal, you're right.
Yeah.
So the craziest thing I had to do though, and it's crazy enough that I can't get into specifics. So it was just
That was a lovely joke, Chris. Sorry we couldn't hear the punchline, but I believe we're out of time.
No, hold on. We still got a couple more.
Bravo! We need to stop now for Chris's sake.
Let's talk to the legal department. What do? We don't have a legal department. Shit. Chris, I might have to omit that out. Just like in all honesty, dude. Like,
There's
okay,
just a
dude,
moment,
that's
just
yeah.
a moment in the
that's,
fucking.
that's a crime.
Well, Chris, that was wonderfully enjoyable. We'll never get to hear that on air. So I'm just gonna end this episode with some stuff that we want to tell you guys. Since this episode came out on May 5th and is in no way pre-recorded, May 10th, everybody, is Mother's Day. So remember that. Don't do what I did, and I forgot Mother's Day, and my mom didn't speak to me for like a week. It hurt more than any other pain I've ever felt. Only that, May 9th is another holiday for Oddloot. Kevin, tell us why.
I mean, I already talked about it in the beginning. Did you already forget my birthday, Bravo? You bastard.
Yeah, no, I don't really write stuff that isn't important. But now it is.
Wow.
That's right, everybody. It's
that
May 9th
happened.
is going to be our wonderful Dr. Kevin Carpenter.
See if I get you anything for your birthday, whenever that is. No, I have it on you. I have it on my phone, Bravo.
He's a friend.
So those are going to be days to celebrate. And again, thank you everybody for coming by and listening to the reemergence of Show Title Pending. And as always, if you guys have some topics or things you want us to talk about, again, we don't know what this show's about, so who knows? Maybe we could talk about it, whatever you want us to talk about. And as always, guys, stay safe out there. If you guys are in a place, stay safe, stay clean, stay inside. We'll get through it. And of course, watch our content. If you want to find ways to entertain yourself, look up our first season of Rolling in the Mist. Check out Bootleg Arcade. And maybe before this podcast or after or maybe during, we'll be streaming. So thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, being here with us.
There's
And
a
as-
gardener outside.
What?
There's a gardener outside my house. Why is he here?
Fuck you.
Goodbye, everybody.
This production is an Odd Loot production. AWD Loot.